been a couple of weeks now since I got the grow bed back up. The storm damage had been, it's like the whole, hard to believe, but it's kind of like the whole grow bed got lifted up, and just considering how heavy that is, that's incredibly heavy. You know, that's 2.5 meters of rock and expanded clay. It's kind of like it just all jumped. So I had some damage with some of the piping, especially the valve up the back there. And I also had damage to the out pipe here. This had also come off, which that was all glued in. So there had been a lot of damage done there. But it's all been fixed, and it's now been running for, it's what, 3 weeks? I think it's 3 weeks, maybe 4. It took me a couple of weeks to actually fix everything, because I had to take all of the clay out and test that the grow bed itself wasn't damaged. Now this is a fiberglass grow bed that I've built, and I had to test it to make sure it wasn't damaged before I put the clay back in. So it took a little while. I also had trouble with the piping up there. If I took that out and tried to fix it, the hole there, I'm not sure if I can actually get a better view, that was going to cause a problem, because I had the fish running in the aquaculture part, so the water went from the fish tank into the solid separator, into the sump, and then with the piping back again. But this pipe here that leads into the grow bed got pulled out and damaged, and if I had have pulled it all the way out to fix it, that would have meant I'd have to turn off the pump for the aquaculture tank, which would have been problematic for the fish. So I had to play a bit of just trying to work it all out to get the levels right. But we did that, got it all happening. So as you can see, it's all back up and running well, and there's huge and amazing growth for only a couple of weeks. I think it's about 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, this is huge. It was mainly basil. I think I put nearly 6 punnets of basil in. I've already harvested, I've harvested 4 plants a week ago as well. So it's doing awesome. And we can see I've also popped in, we've got some broccoli here. There's some spinach, some coriander. These have only just been added in the last few days. Some more broccoli up there. Some silver beet, and that's a silver beet there. So it's all doing incredibly well. Showing you what's been happening. But yeah, it's one of those things that you can plan and get everything happening for emergencies, but if something happens, you've got to be able to keep a calm head and have a plan as to what you're going to do to fix it. And that's the key thing about here, is that, well, in a crisis you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you've got to be able to think clearly. And my first concern was my fish. So how do I look after all of those fish that are in there? And luckily, because I was able to switch things off with the valves, I was able to do just that. I was able to fix things. So just running through the system again, we've got the aquaculture tank, and my system, being an aquaculture tank, the water comes out the bottom. So all the solid waste from the fish comes out the bottom, down the bottom here where my fingers are. And I've got the Y joined there, so I can do a quick drain, which was very helpful with the when the grow bed was off, because I had to do water exchanges. So I was able to open that valve, drop the water really quickly, and close it again. So that stays closed normally. The water will then come straight up into the solid separator, which spins around. The solids sink, and then the water without the solids, moving over, oopsie, comes out that top pipe there and drops down into the sump. And then we have our pumps. Here we have 2 pumps in the sump. I've got my main pump down the bottom, and then I've got a backup pump for if the power goes out, then that DC pump will kick in. But this main pump takes the water back up and into the fish tank. It's a fair bit different to a lot of people. A lot of people have the solids coming out the top of their tank and into a solid separator, or into the grow bed, or into whatever they want to do. Whereas I have mine coming out the bottom. As I've mentioned before, being trained in aquaculture, I'm used to working with aquaculture tanks. And this has a tapered bottom, so it's kind of like a funnel. And we have what's called a riser in the middle of the fish tank, which you won't be able to see. You'll just be able to see that there's white in there. You see that white colour just there. That's what we call a riser, and all of the water and solid waste will sink down through that. It's got holes all around the outside as well as on the top, so the solids will sink down. And because the tank itself has that funnel at the bottom, all of the solid waste naturally will go down. It swells around with the current flow. As you can see, there is a small little flow in there from how the water is coming back into there. So with that swirling, that means that the water can then easily go and follow this path into the solid separator and then into the sump. And then back up again. And I use the grow bed as that overflow so that the fish tank water doesn't get any higher than that pretty much. And the water goes into the grow bed. See, I've got just a little bit of fine matting up the back corner there just to catch any of the, at the moment I ran out of my normal pellets, so I've had to be blending it up, so I've got some fine dust basically in there, so I'm catching that so it doesn't go into the grow bed. And the water comes down through and then out this outlet here and into the sump. The sump catches everything and then pumps the water back into the fish tank. Pretty cool, huh? So that's it, it's doing well. And I'm looking forward to harvesting all of that basil because it's almost ready to be harvested. And then I'll be planting out, it's winter, we're coming into winter here, so I'll be planting out a lot more broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage and stuff like that. And so I can freeze a lot of that. So I'm excited. This is awesome.